Captain, give me a report on the situation.
Sir, the entitled parents are all around us. What are your orders?
Have we installed security cameras around the entire building?
Yes, sir.
And the decoy Nintendo Switches?
Sir, yes, sir.
Excellent, Captain Zack. Then they are almost ready for the final weapon.
Your calm reading voice, sir?
That's right.
But it's not ready.
I know. That is why I must take a weekend.
But who will lead the troops this weekend?
They'll be in good hands with you, Captain.
It would be an honor, sir.
Speak calmly, defend your property, live well.
Welcome back to VoiceyHere in another r/entitled parents. I'm your host, Captain Zack, taking over the weekend show while Voicey rests his calm speaking voice to continue the great war on entitled people. Entitled Karens are everywhere. If you take public transportation, you're almost guaranteed to run into one. This guy is just chillin' on his way to college when this Karen accuses him of manspreading, while she takes up 3 seats herself. But don't you worry, Voicey veterans, his response will turn her face beet red. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode. So, this story was called, "Why Didn't You Give Him Dinner?" I'm a teacher in a daycare center. We get a lot of entitled parents or caregivers on an almost daily basis, but this is one of the most memorable I can recall. Because of working parents and their hours, which we try to cater to, the daycare center doesn't close until 5:30 p.m. and we try to stipulate to parents that they need to be there for pickups on time, otherwise it puts us behind closing up and we don't get out of there until late, etc. Most of the parents are tired by that time too, from a long day of work and just want to go home, so there are usually no children who are late to go home. At about 4:50ish on a Friday, we had a phone call from the mother of one of the infants. The boy was just about to turn 2. She was in the next town over and was running late, and she was just about to get on the bus. She was notorious for doing this to us. She was either late and never got in contact with us, or we could never get in contact with her as she wouldn't pick up the phone when we rang her. But this day, she had rang. We asked if there was anyone else who could pick her son up as we close soon. She laughed and said, "No, there's not. You're gonna have to stay." I was pretty certain she knew what she was doing, forcing us to be open late and putting us behind with the rest of locking up. The bus from the next town over would take an hour or so just to get here, so we settled in with her son for a wait and entertained him the best we could. The poor kid at this stage was exhausted from a long day and just wanted to go home. We tried to get him to sleep, but he was overtired, so we ended up screaming the place down. Poor wee fella. Anyway, it's after 5:50 and there's no sign of the mother still. We ring to try and see how far away she is. No answer. It gets to 6 p.m. We do the same thing again. Still no answer. We found the boy's file and paperwork and rang the next contact on his list. He had just started work at night shift, but he said he was going to try to ring the mother and find out where she was. The bus may have just been running mega late, but it's what she said to us when she finally did arrive that made me certain that was not the case. It nears 6:30 p.m. and we're about ready to call in a search team for this kid's family when the mother traipses through the door. As the mother is getting her son's belongings sorted and signing him out, my colleague says to her, "You're later than we anticipated. There will be an extra charge added to your account for being late." "I was getting my nails refilled," she replies, as if there's no problem at all. "You said you were on the bus," my colleague says, confused. "The bus stopped outside the salon, so I got my nails refilled." We are beyond caring at this point, to be honest. We were both tired, the kid was exhausted, everyone just wanted to go home. The mother had a different idea. "Has he been fed?" she demands. "We gave him a plate of fruit and some crackers," I told her. "Why didn't you give him dinner?" "The kitchen closes at 4 after afternoon tea. We are unable to feed the children proper meals unless it's provided," I said. "Has he been bathed? Can I put him to bed as soon as I get home?" she demands again. "We don't have full and proper facilities to give children baths." "Great. He's going to be grizzly all night." And with that, the mother leaves with her very tired 2-year-old son. We thought that was the end of the matter. We quickly did the rest of the lockup and got out of there for the weekend. Monday, when I come into work, I get told the mother was in the office trying to take up the matter with the head teacher and the manager, saying that I and my colleagues were negligent for not doing her nighttime routine for her. You can imagine how well that went down with the rest of the staff. We had a good laugh at her expense in the staff room that day. Whoa, okay, what a wild story. Let me take this opportunity to give a little PSA to those prospective parents out there. If you would rather get your nails filled than to pick up your 2-year-old child from daycare after it's been closed for an hour, you might want to hold off on having those kids for a little bit. Alright, Voicey veterans, this story is called It Finally Happened to My Husband. I've had my share of entitled parents, including my own, and while I was there for the encounter and said a few words, I wasn't the focus. The weekends are when me and hubby can really spend time with the kids. So after a day of shopping, we decided to get some drinks at Starbucks. It was unusually brisk out, and Starbucks likes their AC a lot. So hubby had a jacket on over his t-shirt. We order, sit down, and just hang out after a long week. About halfway into our family time, a woman comes up to our table. It was a bit crowded, so I figured she was asking us if we would be done soon so she could have our table. No big deal, right? Wrong. This is where our entitled parent starts talking. Excuse me, sir? Hubby doesn't respond. He's hard of hearing, so you really have to speak up, especially in a crowd. Sir! Like I said, hard of hearing. I reach across the table and nudge him while telling the woman we were almost done and she could have our table. Finally, he looks up and I tilt my head towards the entitled parent. Hubby, looking at entitled parent, annoyed. What? Excuse me? Mind your tone, you shouldn't be in here, you're scaring everyone. My husband is lanky and white. The woman is also white, so it's not a race thing. What, the front door? Hubby, who gets fed up with stupid very easily, get lost. No, your type aren't allowed here. My husband can hold his own, so I'm more than happy to sit back and let him. Besides, I was curious. What the flippity-doo-dah is your major malfunction? He picked up this quote from a movie and he loves to use it on stupid people. You people, you gang people. My husband is not in a gang. When I look at him, that's when it hits me. The jacket my hubby is wearing is a Sons of Anarchy one. It's a TV show about bikers or a biker gang, I think. His jacket also looks a bit more official than some average ones made for fans. It's got a made-up charter and our state on it. On the back, I think it has their biker oath or something, and patches. Then my hubby says, "What the heck?" "It's your jacket," I said to him. Hubby looks at the entitled parent, whose kid is in his 20s, I presume, and he's standing there by her looking like he wished the earth would swallow him whole. "You're a special kind of stupid." "You're scaring my kid. You probably sell drugs or guns. You people are on the news all the time." My husband, ever the eloquent one, flips her off. A barista sees the exchange and tries to calm everyone down, but the entitled parent isn't having it. "Give me that jacket. I'm going to burn it. You should be in jail or shot. I'm calling the police. You're poisoning my kid with your gang crap." I got my kids and the rest of our stuff away from the table by sliding the opposite direction of the entitled parent and headed for the door. "Buzz off, lady. You're embarrassing your kid." We start to leave when the entitled parent did this stupid. She grabbed my husband. Hubby does not like to be touched at all. He flips her wrist around and holds it pinned, causing her to shriek. It looks like it hurts, and I'm pretty sure he was close to breaking it. The barista, bless her heart, is standing there wide-eyed and kind of scared. I just opened the door and told them either break it or let her go. I'm not waiting. He lets go, hands the barista a tip for having to put up with the bimbo, and we leave. Hubby is still fuming as I hand him his drink that he didn't finish, and we sit for a while till he calms down. As he turns the car on, we notice entitled parent stomping out the door followed by her kid. Hubby looks at his drink, pondering. "Don't," I tell him. Entitled parent is right by his window. It's tinted, so she either can't see in or just didn't notice it was us. She's practically screaming at her son while sitting in her car about us being in a gang and threatening to call the police and the mayor and God only knows who else. I mentally facepalm as my husband quietly gets out of the car, cup in hand, and dumps it on the entitled parent through her open window. It was a nice drink, so don't worry. She stands there, mouth open as hubby tosses some bills to the kid. "Sorry about your car." Kid looked a little in shock. Not sure if it was his car or if he was just driving his mom's car, but I felt bad about the mess. We pull out and drive around for a bit. I offered to go to another location and get hubby a second drink, but he said no. I don't know if that lady was going to call the cops, but if my husband was a biker, she's a bit of a dummy for trying to pick a fight with him. Okay guys, that was another wild one. You gotta admire the husband in that story. I'm not sure what I would do in that situation. I'd probably just cower in fear because, you know, obnoxiously loud stupidity scares the crap out of me. Alright, here we have a story called Entitled Mom Wants Me to Feed Her Uninvited Kids at Our Barbecue. turns other neighbors against us. This happened earlier this week. My wife and I have recently married and moved. We did both in a 2-week time period. The weather was lovely, and as it's the first time we actually had some downtime together since our busy period, we thought we would have a barbecue. Just the two of us in our new backyard. About 30 minutes later, the food is on the barbecue, smells amazing. We're outside, chilling on the chairs, when, without warning, no knocking or anything, 2 kids open our back gate and walk into our yard. I asked them if they're okay, and the taller of the two replies with, "Mom says we can have some of your barbecue." Yeah, not can we have, but we can have. I explained that, unfortunately, we only bought enough food for 2, which is true, so there isn't enough to share, and we apologize for it, whilst being kind. Being an ex-teacher, I'm quite good at talking to children, and they went away a little bit disappointed, but they weren't crying or weren't upset at all. About 5 minutes later, the mom then walks into our yard, again without knocking, asking why we didn't offer anything to her children. At this point, my wife says that we haven't brought enough food, just enough for ourselves, and that ideally she shouldn't be offering our food to others. The mom starts going off on about how this isn't the way to make friends, this isn't neighborly, and this isn't how this neighborhood works, and then she will tell others. I get up and ask her to leave and ask her not to visit us again. We hear her storm off and then slam a door. We assume it was of her house. My wife then comes over to the backyard door and puts a bolt across, locking it. 15 minutes later, we hear her coming down the path to our back door again. Only this time, when she tries to open it, she can't as it's locked and lets out a big "flip sake" before pulling the door some more and then walking off. A few days pass and we hadn't seen her, though we assume she definitely lived up to her promise of telling others about us not sharing food, as we did notice that the guy who lives opposite us now no longer says hello back to us when we leave for work. He leaves roughly at the same time as we do, so we did sometimes say hello politely. Our bins have been taken out of the containers and spilt all over the pavement. Her kids and others in the neighborhood now deliberately play outside of our house. Cars of other neighbors park outside our house even though they have their own driveways and we don't, so we end up parking further down the road. We've spoken to family and friends about this and they seem split. Some agree with us, but others have said we should have been neighborly and offered our food. That story was a bit interesting. I don't know about you guys, but I definitely side with our Redditor here. Like, come on, lady, it's not their job to feed your own kids. And also, like, if you want food, you might want to knock before just barging into their backyard? What's with these people? And besides, isn't it more of a custom to offer new neighbors, gifts, instead of barging into their homes and asking for their food? They got it a little backwards here. Alright, this story is called Karen Takes Up 3 Seats Then Accuses Me of Manspreading. After starting college, I have to take a train to the city center to get to my campus. The trains have 2-3 seating configurations. Basically, 4 seats facing each other with 2 at each side, and 6 seats facing each other with 3 at each side. This will be relevant to the story. Yesterday after school, I took my usual commute. I sat in a window seat facing towards the moving direction. I had spread my legs a small bit, like all men have to, but I was turned towards the window so I would be fine since I wasn't taking up extra space. Right? Wrong. So I'm sitting there listening to music with my headphones on when this lady in her mid-50s sits in front of me in between seats. So basically she's taking up half of each seat. Now this lady is your typical Karen. Chief sunglasses, even though it was raining, obviously blonde-dyed hair. She places her 2 bags beside her, now taking up an entire row. She then proceeds to take off her shoes and places her stinky feet on the empty seat next to me. Being the antisocial boy I am, I suck it up and continue listening to my music. Soon enough, I feel a tap on my shoulder. I see Karen looking at me with an expression that somebody uses when there's an annoying pebble stuck in their shoe. I pause the music and then take one of my earbuds out and look at Karen with a puzzled look. "You men have no regards for personal space," she says in the most annoyed tone I have ever heard. Sorry, what? I say in the most polite tone I could muster. "It's disgusting how much space you take up. You have no regard for personal space," Karen scoffs. No way this is happening, I think to myself. "Move, I need more space. My legs are hurting," she commands. I don't want to sit with this stinky and obviously crazy lady, so I oblige. I move to a row next to the one I was sitting in, the row was empty by the way, and sit in the middle seat and spread my legs nice and wide, to which Karen gives me a death glare. Soon enough, my stop comes, but I still want to say goodbye to Karen, so as we are coming to a stop, I walk up to Karen and do the most anxiety-inducing thing I have ever done. I say to her, maybe you should lose some weight to not need the 2 seats. Otherwise, people might mistake you for a cow. Karen turns redder than the definition of color red and starts screaming like a banshee. But it's too late. The train stops and I get out. Was it worth it? Yeah. Will I do it again? Heck no. Remember to stand up for yourself when Karen attacks. Yo, okay, so this story was actually really funny. I applaud our Redditor here for standing up to that nasty old woman. Make sure you guys let me know in the comments below if you would ever say anything like that to a Karen. You know how terrifying they are. Alright, our last story for today is called Entitled Mom Tries to Take My Book but Fails to Read a Word and Gives Up. So, this happened earlier today and I am still laughing. Here's a little bit of backstory. I was making my daily commute on the bus while reading a book. It was a J.R.R. Tolkien novel, The Silmarillion for you nerds out there. As you know, Tolkien writes in a peculiar way and uses really old English. In my country, I live in Brazil, there's this publisher that uses very old translations. I love it. It gives a very interesting touch to the reading. So, there are some words that we don't use anymore. And behind me is our entitled mother and a little girl. So, here's the story. I was reading without a care in the world, headphones on and with really loud music. Now, I think this lady might have called me a few times because she got physical trying to communicate. She tapped my shoulder and I took out my headphones. The conversation went something like this. Excuse me, did you know that you'll get deaf listening to music this loud? Oh, I don't usually listen like this. I just don't like to be bothered. Well, that's not very polite. I was trying to talk to you. Oh, sorry, the music must be annoying you. I'm gonna put the volume down. It wasn't that loud, but I was trying to be polite. It's not about the music! Then the little girl chimes in. Please ask if I can read the book, Mom. Shh, sweetie, Mama is talking. I turned to the girl and explained, sorry kid, this book has a lot of hard words and even I struggle to read it. You'll get bored if you try. You think my girl can't read this stupid book? How dare you! My girl can read anything! Then you should bring her a book. It's not anybody's obligation to entertain your daughter. It's okay, Mom. The kid turns to the window and starts to look outside at this point. The lady seems annoyed, but stops complaining for a while. And then, I make a dumb move. I took out my phone to check the time. I heard that obnoxious voice. See, you're not even reading. Give her the book. Lady, even if I was not reading, it is my book. You don't give your stuff around just because other people complain to you, or do you? Entitled Mom almost chokes on her rage. She's mad. I don't give a darn. I just put my headphones back in. Remember, the music is very low and keep reading. Then our entitled mom said with an angry voice, fine, if you won't give my daughter the book, I will read to her. This lady just peeks her head over my shoulder. I hate this. Do not enter my personal space, please. And then she started to read. She reads one paragraph and then got to the word Einolindale. It's a theme for a book within the Silmarillion. It means Great Symphony. Listen, darling, the what the flip even is this book? She retreated with defeat and I enjoy the rest of my reading in peace. The kid didn't even pay attention to her mom's reading. She just kept staring at things outside. I know it's not like those entitled parents that get mental over things, but the audacity of this lady was just surprising to me. Okay, I have but one question for this entire thing. How do you get to the point where you're yelling at a man for not giving your daughter his own book when he's just trying to read?
Post your stories, memes, and fan art at r/VoiceyHere. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode. Alright, Voicey veterans, I'll see you in the next one.